Hi friends, and welcome to the Mindful Making video podcast. This podcast is all about making and mostly about yarn and about knitting. My name is Jane and I am coming to you from Hornsby Heights, which is a little suburb north of Sydney, Australia. Today it is the 3rd of October 2021. It's a beautiful sunny spring day here in Sydney and the temperatures are rising, but I thought a bit of a sort of chill, so I brought my Sarissa shawl just to throw over my shoulders today. You can find me as Mindful Making on Instagram and on Facebook. On Ravelry, I'm Mindful Making AU. So I hope you have your project at hand, that you have a cup of coffee or a tea or a wine. I have a cup of coffee here and it's still warm, which is very nice. And I hope you will enjoy the next sort of half an hour or so in my company and talking about our shared passion for yarn and for knitting. This is episode number 32. And welcome if you're a new viewer, and welcome back if you are a returning viewer. A lot of you found your way to my little corner of the internet from the last episode, which reached, thousands of views and plenty of new viewers. So welcome, and I'm so thrilled you are here. And sometimes you never know what the algorithm of the YouTube, where that takes you. So there are a lot of new subscribers from North America, from Canada, and from the Scandinavian countries as well. I'm Danish and I've lived here in Australia for the last 9 years. And in the last episode, I told you the story about why we moved to Australia and also sort of our experience the first couple of weeks or months in a new country. And thank you so much for all your lovely comments. A lot of you shared your story about moving to another country, either as a child or as a parent or an adult moving with your family. So it's a shared experience for many of us. And even though that you may have moved from one part of the country to the other, so within the same country, it was a massive shift for you. So a lot of you really, also the story that I told resonated with a lot of you. So thank you so much for sharing your stories of moving from one end of the world to the other, or within countries where the difference might be as significant as it was for us. If you haven't seen that episode and you want to know more about that, go back and watch the last episode. Quite a long story about our move, but I enjoyed telling it, and it was sort of a reminder for me as well of what we went through. I don't think we realized what big a change it was. Sort of in leading up to the move, it was all about selling the house and getting prepared, applying for visa. And sort of we ran on adrenaline and the excitement of the new country that we were moving to. And still the adrenaline lasted for at least the first year where everything was new. We tried everything for the first time, change of seasons, the school year. And then during the second year, it sort of settled. And then after 2 years, I said to my husband, okay, now I'm ready to move back again. It was sort of then the pleasure of and the excitement of the new world was sort of winding off or winding down. But we stayed on, and we are super happy living here, and we have settled. But I just want to say as well that it does take time to feel settled in a new place. Well, enough about that for now, but if you are interested, please look through the comments from the previous episodes and see the different stories that we share. Well, mindful making is about knitting, and today I will share, well, very traditional podcast where we will talk about what is on my needles, what has come off my needles, a bit of the projects that I want to knit, and then towards the end a bit of sort of what is happening in our lives. Throughout the episode, I will again insert small snippets of nature and walks that we have had around the neighborhood. There will be flowers that I've shared during the last episodes, and people have asked me whether it's from my garden. It's not. We do not have that big a garden, but it's from, I have a little circuit that I walk in my neighborhood, and it's from our neighbors' gardens and what I pass by on my walks. I've also received the question of if I can, talk more about names of plants. I would love to, but that's one of the areas where I have not built up the knowledge yet of flora and fauna in a very different climate and country. It wasn't my superpower back in Denmark either, and it isn't here. But if there are questions like that, I hope that some of you Australian viewers can chip in with your knowledge of plants, flowers, animals, etc. What I am wearing today, I am wearing the cinerea shawl, which is one of my designs. It's beautifully soft, and both in terms of the fabric and texture, but also these beautiful subtle colors. It's the shawl is asymmetrical shape. It's difficult to show, and then it has these wedges of a sock yarn and a silk mohair, and then ending off with this cute little lace border. And in the other end it has the wider, so this is a sock yarn, and it's just plain garter stitch, beautiful easy knit, and just lovely to wear. And I have worn this as a sort of over a dress for a party, because it is that sort of feminine and stylish that you can wear it as a in celebration. So cinerea shawl, it is available as a pattern in my Ravelry store, and of course I've linked to the cinerea shawl in the description box below, and I have also linked to everything else that I will be talking about today. Coming back to the yarn, so I have them sitting here. These are the leftovers of 2 skeins of sock yarn, so a fingering weight, and 50 grams of a silk mohair. These yarns are dyed by Dyeing to Knit. Michelle, she is a hand dyer in Perth, and this is her logo. And the colorway here in the sock yarn, it's called Almond Nougat, and this base is called 4-ply luscious socks. It's an 85% extra fine merino and 15 nylon. I think the name of this beautiful subtle pink mohair is called Ruby, as far as I remember. I don't have the tag anymore, but you can see it on the pattern page as well. But any mohair and sock yarn would work really well together, any fingering weight yarn. So that's what I'm wearing today. Next, what has come off my needles, what I have finished in the last month. And that is very quick because it's nothing. No finished object during September, which means that also my usual tally of yarn that I have knitted up each month would be around 0 for September. But that's all right. It's not that I haven't been knitting, of course, but nothing can be characterized as a finished object. Quickly moving on to what is on my needles then. Last time I talked about a avocado dyed yarn or over dyed yarn that I dyed myself a few years back. I have knitted with these colors. So there is a bit of a color theme going on today, very subtle. Soft pink, brownish colors. I think these avocado dyed yarns has become more brown than they probably should because the water was too hot. That is what I have read somewhere. So you can see the lightest color is almost gone. So I'm just hoping I have enough for where I'm at. And it is the Vellicore tee. It is a design by Andrea Murray. And let's just see here. Oh, I need to move. Yes, this is correct. So this is the back or the front, almost done. Or I think it is done because the armhole depth is at the length or the depth that it should be. And then I started on the back or the other side. So this is just an inch long. So you can see that the color changes are not as profound as it is on the pattern page itself, and what probably a lot of you, if you have knitted this tee, have used. You can see here, for instance, the darker color as these small bits in between. And I have been in a bit of doubt whether it just blends in too much and whether I like it. But I've decided I like it. It will be beautiful, subtle. Well, and there is a lot of knitting in this jumper so far, or this tee so far. I am working it on a 3 millimeter needle, which is a 2.5 US, and a lot of rows. So it has taken me some time to get this far. Just the ribbing itself, which is a twisted rib, and then with this sort of slight cabley pattern. That took me a weekend to knit that in itself. You can see that it sort of leans a bit, but that's all right. That's all right. And then at the top it has these sort of shoulder details where this ribbing is repeated, with only the small amount of the lightest color that I have left. That will be in the second color, or the light contrast color. Yeah, and towards the end there will be some, when I finish, I would have the pleasure of weaving in these ends, but I don't mind. I don't mind. So hopefully next time this tea will be finished. The yarn is the Coast yarn by Holst, and as I said, over dyed with avocado that I did myself, and it's that was on an ivory base, which is sort of a light beige color. So that might actually add to the bit sort of brown undertone of this yarn. It is a 55 merino wool and a 45 cotton, so a wool cotton blend. A light fingering weight, so it runs 700 meters per 100 grams. So it's sort of a light fingering weight, leaning towards lace weight. But I do like it. It's it's slow knit, and I have practiced patience with this knit. There was a lot of purl stitching when knitting in the round, which you normally wouldn't have purl stitches when working round, but in this one there was. And I have just practiced being in the process and enjoying each one stitch at a time, basically. So highly recommend the pattern so far. I will talk more about it when it's done, hopefully in the next episode. I will just take you out for a walk with me and my daughter. We were out a few weekends ago to a local nature reserve here in Hornsby Heights. It's called Crosslands, and it's connected to what is called the Great North Walk, which is a walking track that runs from Sydney to Newcastle. So it's fairly long, and we have it just not next to the house, but close by where we live. And we went down there. It was actually the last weekend, I think, where you know, we are in lockdown, but that was the first weekend where you could picnic outside with your friends. It was a beautiful sunny day, so we went down there for a walk, and it was just buzzing with, you know, families out and barbecues running and kids laughing in the there is a sort of some shallow waters down there on paddle boards and canoes, and it was just awesome. So we took a bit of footage from that walk, and what you will see as well towards the end is this is a cute little creature. It's called an echidna. To describe the echidna, I had to look it up, so apologies for that. And the echidnas are, together with the platypus, they are the world's only monotremes, or egg-laying mammals. The long-beaked echidna is confined to the highlands of New Guinea, and the short-beaked echidna is common throughout most of temperate Australia and lowland New Guinea. And it says here that although widely distributed within New South Wales, the short-beaked echidna is not readily seen in the wild because of its quiet, reclusive nature. So that made it extra special to see it just next to the path where we walked. So I hope you will enjoy that little footage, and in the description box below I will insert a link so you can read much more about the cute little echidna. I hope you enjoyed that little nature experience. I'm happy to share it with you. Well, moving on to another knitting project, or maybe even a half finished project. I have knitted, and not even, I haven't put it on the sock blogger, sorry, a pair of socks. I finished these yesterday night, and it's for my daughter Astrid. These are the Mika socks, and it's a pattern from the book 52 Weeks of Socks. It's basically a vanilla sock with some color work. The pattern calls for a needle size 3.25 millimeter, but I'm working these on a 2.5, which suits the yarn that I had. So after a number of goes and where the leg couldn't get past her heel, I increased the number of stitches to 64, which allowed for an extra repeat of the color work. So it's about 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing, and then I added 20 rows on either side of the collar work. Then a traditional heel flap and gusset turn, and actually this might be slightly too big, or sort of just not as tightly fitted as my daughter prefers. So the foot, I've gone down to 60 stitches, and I changed the repeats of this little color work so that it matched my new stitch count. Yeah, so this is one half a finished object. The yarn here is, or the yarns are, it is this pretty color. It's a 4-ply sock, hand dyed by bombed yarns, and the color way is called Who Gives a Flying Flathead? Well, just the name is just so amusing. I talked about this yarn last episode as well. It's very tightly spun, this yarn. I think it's very, very strong. So I'm looking forward to see how it wears, but I think it will wear beautifully. So this is what I've left of a 100-gram skein, so there will be enough for the next sock that I will cast on very soon. The contrast color is a leftover of coast yarn. This color is called ecru. I have held this double in the color work, and that was for it to stand out, because if it was just one strand of yarn, it sort of escaped or drowned in the other colors here. I think it's turned out really, really well. I totally love this colorway. It's just a mix of these light blue, tealy tones with some darker blues, speckles in between, and then this mustardy yellow, and then a few splashes of pink. I hope you can see how beautiful it is. Yeah. And just to show you Bombed Yarns tag and the name Who Gives a Flying Flathead. And there are links below to her shop if you want to check out her beautiful colors. That were the knitting projects. I have also progressed on the Granny Stripes blanket. To show you the progress, I found the progress keeper from last time. It is here. So I have made this dark stripe, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows extra. I think, and there are 31 sort of rows between those black stripes, and I think I will finalize this stripe and then add one more, and then I might be done. This has been sitting next to my couch for 4, 5 years probably. But I have tried this, 10 minutes a day approach. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes it's half an hour and sometimes it's nothing. But it is progressing easy, slowly, but it is progressing, and I enjoy every row. I've talked about this blanket on every episode since May. So there are a few. Pearl Soho free pattern. It's a granny stripe blanket. Taking you out on another little outing. Yesterday we as a family went to Brooklyn which is half an hour's drive north of here. Our youngest son, he is on his learners, so he's learning to drive, so he has to drive some kilometers. So he was the driver, and we drove to Brooklyn, which is sort of a near the Hawkesbury River, and there is a fish and chips shop there. So we ordered lunch and then went for a walk and came back and enjoyed our fish and chips. So I hope you will enjoy that little outing with me. The birds here were pelicans, if you were in doubt. They are huge. Just saying. They are big. Next, I want to share some new additions to my yarn collection. Was it the second week of September, an online event called the Big Wool Show happened, where a lot of small makers join in on a marketplace. There are interviews, online interviews throughout the weekend, and of course it sort of gives the impetus to buy a few skeins. And I was tempted as well. When I saw these yarns, so it's hand dyed by Corolla Down Under, and these skeins are called speckled 4-ply speckles, and she uses natural dyes. So the speckles in these, in this pretty skein, so it blows out a bit, but it's just, there are yellow, orange, brown, dark brown on a very neutral white base. And this is dyed with turmeric, cinerea leaves, and black beans. So I was just so fascinated about the process. Well, I don't know the process, but just the thought of the process of creating these subtle speckles with natural dyes from plant dyes. On top of that, it's a super yummy, squishy yarn. It's super duper soft, and look at how bouncy it is. Oh, and the base is an 80% blue-faced Leicester BFL, 20% bamboo. So I got myself these two beauties. Now I'm just waiting for them to tell me what they want to become. So my biggest task here is just to pay attention and listen to what they want to be. I'm looking very much forward to trying and to knit this up and swatch to see how the fabric behaves. But I'm very intrigued by these pretty colors. And then I got this beautiful message from Cass from Springwood in the Blue Mountains saying that she wanted to gift me some yarn. So this is a commercial. It's yarn that have been gifted to me. And I said, oh yes, I would love that. And a few days later, a package arrived, and I was very curious to see the colorways, because Cass has a lot of colorways in her shop. Many different and very vibrant colors. Beautiful, all of them. Stunningly beautiful. And here they are, what she sent me. So her company is called Hodgepodge Skeins. As I say, Blue Mountains, just outside here of Sydney. And aren't they beautiful? Yeah, I'm speechless. I am speechless. The base is a 4-ply 75-25 merino nylon blend, and this beautiful soft gray is called white gold, white gold. And this beautiful speckled yarn is called Fox. Amazing, amazing. And the last one, this dark, rich, brown, mustardy, orange, yellow, is called Earth. So Hodgepodge Skeins, I think you should check her out. There are so many pretty colors in her shop. And of course it's linked below. So thank you so much, Cass. I love these colors. Again, I will listen carefully to what they want to become. But there might be a shawl coming up, or maybe a sort of jumper grading fadey type. So each of these skeins has 400 meters, so that's 1200 meters, so a 3/4 length sort of short jumper. Well, I don't know, but pretty. That's exactly what they are. My gosh. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was the overview of what is on my needles. In the last episode, we talked about summer tops, or I talked about summer tops, and I asked for your inspiration and suggestions for what has been your favorite summer knits. If you've just left summer and moved into fall, or if you are in the southern hemisphere like I am, what you want to knit during the summer season. A lot of you came up with beautiful suggestions, and towards the end I have collected my top 10 of summer tops in a short little video. It is a mixture of what you suggested and what I had found previously as well, and those 10 are on the priority list of what I would like to make. Whether it will happen or not, time will tell. But I put all your suggestions and all what I have previously found in a bundle on my Ravelry page, on my favorites page. So if you're interested, you can check them out. I favorite 72, I think there are 72 summer tops in that bundle. So feel free to have a look. Mindful Making AU on Ravelry, and in my favorites list on the top screen there are bundles, and I have organized now my favorites in different categories. So I hope you will enjoy that. That will be what would be the next thing on my needles. I think another summer top. But have a look at those videos towards the end and to see if there's anything that you like. That was the knitting related content of the episode today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please stick around if you want to hear just a short life update. If you're not interested in that, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you again soon. But if you would like to hear a bit more on the life behind the scenes, please stay on, and I will tell you a bit about what September looked like. Well, Sydney was still in lockdown for the month of September. So basically, as I've said before, one day looks like the previous day. So just one day after the other. And although I try and I practice noticing small changes in nature when I'm walking my little walk, and just treasuring those small moments and being grateful and noticing them, I feel that time just flows away, because there aren't those main events that you can hang your memories on. We are now fully vaccinated, our entire family, which is really, really nice and good. And we are looking forward to things opening up in the middle of October. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. Luckily, we have enjoyed the time we have stayed together as a family. We haven't, it hasn't, been fights and terrible times. We've actually enjoyed the peace and quiet and a bit more time at home. But anyway, it's soon October. We are looking forward to a bit more freedom, to be able to see people, for shops to open again. Not that I'm a big shopper or anything, it's just to have a bit of normalcy again and not being totally stuck here at home. So we're looking forward to that. And I think what I'm looking most forward to is not to have that constant media coverage of drama and crisis, and focus on cases and, you know, movements of cases and exposure sites and blah 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 blah. So I hope we can get a bit more sort of looking ahead and just imagining a future where we can invite back international travelers and even get to travel ourselves. How amazing would that be? They are now talking about opening the Australian border, international border, by November, December, mostly for Australian citizens. But let's see how that pans out, and hopefully next year we can get to visit each other again, and I can travel back to Denmark and give my son a hug again. So I'll be looking very much forward to that. That's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed your time with me, that you have got a bit of new inspiration or have progressed on your project. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will be happy if you would also subscribe, write a comment. I can't tell you how much that means, and I try to answer almost every comment that I can. At least you will get a heart that I've seen it, and I appreciate you engaging in this community. So thank you, and see you next time. Bye.